So what's been showing up since we last met, since last week?
Um, I did like spend quite a bit of time like thinking about your voice message when I was out of town with like in relation to like
Mm,
women and their relationships, and confusing love. I actually did want to like explore that a little bit more if like we could just talk more in depth about that.
yeah.
Um, I think like for me, I don't like as we've talked about, like, don't usually, like, operate in a place where, like, I really am, like, dealing with my feelings or, like, kinda, like, sorting through my feelings a lot, so,
Right.
um, I one of the things that I, like, kept coming up for me, like, when I was doing the reflection, like, before bed, like, with the impossibility stuff was that, um, sometimes I guess it feels impossible for me to get to a place, like, where I'm, like, fully enjoying my life instead of, like, being in, like, a rut where everything kind of feels like a chore,
Yeah.
and I can't, like, parse through all of the reasons that, like, I feel like that at times. I mean, I know, like, I have a lot to do, but even some of the stuff that's supposed to be fun has started to feel like
Mm,
it feels like a chore, and I'm not sure if that's, like, just something coming from me, if that's, like, stemming from like, still exploring things with Edwardo and, like, maybe my body also telling me, like, "This is not, like, good for you, this isn't what you want," and, like, it's showing up in that way. Like, I don't know, like, I
oh,
really figure out or, like, I just wanted to, like, have conversation with you so that I could maybe get some, like, clarity in my own thinking and, like, work through those, like, thoughts and feelings.
yeah. So was there somewhere like that you had that you wanted to start? Because I had a couple questions based on what you shared, but I want to see is there somewhere you would like to start?
Not really.
Okay.
Uh, I mean
So like it sounds like it right now, as you're speaking out your impossibility journal, there's that recognition that you want to have more fun in your life where you're enjoying
mhm,
it. And there's places where it's like it's a chore and you just are kind of going through the motions still. And even the things that you think should be fun, I'm going to put in air quotes, aren't, and they feel like a chore. And then something is showing up with what Eduardo. So I'm curious what's showing up there, and then we can go into those other spaces too.
mhm.
Like what's showing up in your body? Are you noticing anything when you're with him?
Um not nothing that, like, jumps out at me. I can't, like, pick anything out.
Yeah, cool. Because you had made the comment like you're wondering if your body is like trying to show you something when you're with him.
Uh-huh.
So
I mean, yeah,
what?
I don't really, like, feel there's no, like, physical I'm, like, just trying to think back when I was with him on Saturday. I mean, there's no I feel, like, relaxed, but I do also sometimes, like, my thoughts are like, yeah, I'm not maybe, like
Mm,
am I just, like, going through the motions, you know? Like, am I just, like I'm, like, there, but I'm, like, not really there?
mm. Was there a sense, because I know you shared this in the past, that when you're with him or even not with him, there's a sense of you kind of like checking yourself to make sure you're not doing something that could make him mad or like kind of modifying yourself? Was there any sense of you needing to do that when you were with him?
Yeah, I mean, I still, like, filter what I say, like, I would say, like, "Oh, I'm not gonna say this because like, I know that would be, like, kinda like a sensitive, like, topic
Uh,
for him. Could,
okay.
like, lead to him being, like, I don't know, frustrated, but,
Okay.
um So I do like filter what I am saying. And that did make me like think about like, yeah, am I like modifying and manipulating myself, right? To be like who he wants. And I guess there's also like this thought or feeling of like, since everything like kind of blew up with the whole situation with John, kind of feeling like I'm not like as invested and I like just don't really care. Like if he like I don't want to have to like change who I am. I get like some things are more sensitive for people, of course. Like you have to be thoughtful about that, but um yeah, I have that like feeling of like, like when I went to Florida and I said like, okay, kind of like gotta like get through this, you kind of like gotta build yourself up and be like, okay, like I gotta get through this. I feel like that's kind of like creeping in to my like feelings with him.
Okay.
That like kind of disposition of being like, okay, I gotta like deal with this or like manage this, but I'm not like, oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm not finding like the happiness or the joy. It's like feels like work.
Mm.
Um, but then yeah, I mean, I have like gone through periods of time where like I feel, like where I do struggle, I feel like with feeling depressed and whether like it's like related to my hormones or whatever's happening, um but I always like compare it to like, yeah, if I'd rather be like at home in my pajamas in my bed than doing this, then like is making me happy. But then if everything starts to feel like, yeah, I'd rather be in my pajamas in my bed, then like maybe I'm the problem.
Or you're looking for something different in life and you're getting information.
Mhm.
Because I'm wondering, like, when you're like, you said you had to build yourself up and kind of get through this, and it feels like work. You have to kind of manage this. And there's a
Mhm.
sense of you filtering what you're saying. So are you really showing up when you're with Eduardo, or are you just showing up as a fractured version of yourself, a smaller version of yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, yeah, I am.
Okay. And is that loving for you? Like, do you want to show up that way?
No, it's not. I mean, like the idea of it is not, but also the feeling of it is not.
Right. Okay. So you are getting signs. Like there's information here. And Sarah, I'll tell you, the more like you're connected to yourself, it may feel like some of these areas of your life are getting louder and really you can't avoid them anymore because it's like this is here and it's like it's giving you information. Because if you're showing up as even just a smaller version of yourself and you're filtering yourself and it feels like work, who are you showing up for?
Mhm. I mean, I guess the other person.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to. And I think like some of it, it's like it is comfortable because we've known each other for, a good amount of time. And it's it's nice to be like with people that you feel comfortable with and that you don't have to like, I don't know, like I mean, I am being myself for the most part, but yes, I am filtering what I'm saying. And
Yeah.
I think there's like some of that where I'm like, oh, like it's comfortable. So, like I'm willing to like accept, I
Mm,
guess, some of the things that I don't like because it is comfortable. And then it's like, I did reach out because I know we've talked about like me making an effort to like build connection in those places that like are there or even new connections. But
yeah.
I did reach out to like it was actually my oldest son's. He was dating somebody for a couple years and they broke up before college, but her mom and I had like we just have like a lot in common. So we've still like stayed friends and or friendly, but I've like been pursuing maybe like building that friendship a little bit more just because I feel like we do have a lot in common and um yeah, I enjoy being around her, but it's like stuff like that where like we were gonna just grab dinner and chat and stuff. And even like leading up to it, like I do feel like stressed, you know, because I'm like, oh, like I don't really know this person that well. And like, is it gonna be weird? Is it gonna be like uncomfortable or awkward? And
Oh,
it was like awesome. I mean, we like chatted for 3 hours and it was like easy. But I think that's like part of why I like the feeling of being comfortable with Edwardo because I don't have like all that like stress leading up to it.
right. But how did you feel during and after it?
After getting together with her, yeah, it was fun. Yeah. And I mean, after I left, it was like, yeah, I'm so glad that I like all I've honestly like for the whole week, I was like, oh, is that a mistake? Like, should I have reached out? Like, is this gonna be weird? And totally wasn't.
Okay.
So that I'm like, I'm just like overthinking. I feel like I'm like, yeah, like in junior high again. But um I know that's why I stay in things too long. I think some friendships, some relationships and stuff because I
Yeah.
don't those like the building of those like new friendships and relationships feels really stressful.
Right. Leading up to it.
Mhm.
And how does that show up in your body? Like when you're feeling that stress, like leading up to meeting up with this new friend? What if you could name it? And if you can't, that's okay.
Yeah, I no, I definitely like noticed it. I would say kind of feeling like a little bit more like on edge with like faster heart rate and
Okay.
um now like super relaxed, I guess. And
Okay. So I'm wondering, because you said faster heart rate, not relaxed, which is something you mentioned last week with the anxiety. Um,
mhm.
and the thoughts start to spiral. So I was curious if it's similar to that because you were talking about it in regards to Eduardo and
Mhm.
was thinking about like your heart was racing. I was looking, yeah, when you're feeling anxious and overwhelmed, your heart was racing, you're overall more agitated, your stomach is queasy, you're less restful. So
Mhm.
comparing that one to this kind of, because it's similar but different as we are going to explore.
Mhm.
Can you feel the difference or can you notice the difference between those two?
Yes, and I would say, like, with Eduardo, it feels, like, heavier, you know,
Okay.
like,
Oh,
he it feels heavier and the symptoms feel, like, more intense, I would guess it
okay.
I think, whereas, like, yeah, leading up to getting like, even on Thursday, I'm gonna go get dinner with an acquaintance who I haven't seen her in, like, years, and, my old neighbor passed away, and so I was at the wake with the kids last week, and I ran into a bunch of people I haven't seen in a long time, but so then this woman texted me afterward and said, "Oh my gosh, I would love to get together, and catch up," and, so I'm, like, thinking, like, "I just did this, he was totally fine," and she's, like, super warm and, like, nice and kind, so I'm, like, "It will be fine." So I think it just, like, get in my head, and then I start to get myself, like, stressed about it, but it doesn't feel quite so, like, heavy as it does with Eduardo, where it feels, like, a little bit hopeless sometimes, I think.
Okay. Okay. Just so you can have like a knowing because it's still part of the air earth emotion. Like these are both the same. But I wanted you to feel the difference. Like it feels heavier with Eduardo and that overwhelm and that anxiety versus this. So I'm wondering if, and it might be where you start to have conversations with your brain when you're overthinking it, is this is something new that it's unfamiliar, it's unknown. So your brain's like, oh crap, I don't know what to do. I don't even know what this is going to look like. Did I make the wrong choice? All these things, right?
Yeah.
It happens.
Mhm.
And it causes like your heart racing and you'd be like, I don't know what it's going to be like, but I'm willing to lean in. And now you have some evidence for your brain of being like, yeah, when I went and met up with that woman I didn't really know, it was a great time. I had a lot of fun.
Mhm.
So it can be like you talking to your brain this week, especially leading up to this other dinner you're having on Thursday with this other friend that you haven't seen in a
Mhm.
while. Thank you, brain. I know you're trying to protect me because your brain wants to protect you and replicate. It's going to replicate what feels safe and comfortable and maybe even hopeless and miserable.
Mhm.
That is known. Where you're going is unknown and it's not figured out yet. You don't know, like you get to be all of Sarah, but it's still unknown. It's uncharted waters. You haven't yet totally gone there, but you have. You had that
Mhm.
experience. So I wonder if it's showing up because anxiety is also here because it's here to breathe life into you. So I'm wondering
Mhm.
if part of you is like, oh shit, I don't know what this is. This is unknown and it's scared. You're like, oh, I see you. We're going to do the Muse method. We're going to breathe. Where can I expand? And then you're breathing into where you're going now, like a life where it touches you and you have more joy and more fun.
Mhm.
By you saying yes to this, you had a lot of fun. You were there for 3 hours.
Mhm.
So would you be willing? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, that totally makes sense, and I think because I've lived my life, like, in like, the way I deal with stress and anxiety is by avoiding it, and so, like, this is yeah, so then, when the plans like, it's, like, the day before and then the day of, I'm like, "Oh, I don't know." Then I do start to feel really stressed and like, "Oh, maybe I would never cancel because 'cause I'm not that's just not me, but, I know it's because I'm doing something that's making me feel stressed and my, like, go-to response is to avoid it.
Right. And how does that work for you? That's created something for you in the past. When you avoided the stress and anxiety, what did that give? What did that create for you?
It felt like it removed the stress and anxiety, so it was like, "Oh, that worked," but I mean, it really didn't. It just, like, kinda delayed it, I would say.
Okay. So it was more of a temporarily removing it in the moment, but it actually just delayed it. It still came through, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, it was like, if there was, like, a conflict or, like, a hard conversation I needed to have, like, with a family member or one of the kids or something, and I mean, it had to happen, like, it had to
Right.
happen. So it's like, yeah, even if you try to delay it, I mean, it might, like, temporarily make you feel better, but you gotta deal with it. So,
Eh,
yeah. So I
And I,
think I don't know. I mean, that I think is like the struggle because I stayed like married, I think, for longer than I should have because it was comfortable and like the unknown of like starting over and like taking care of everybody by myself. Like, and then kind of with Edwardo, just feeling
mm,
like I'm entering that like same place.
okay. So I wonder if you have a knowing that you're entering that same place so that you can take your exit sooner than you did last time.
Mhm.
Because when we are loving ourselves well, which is what we talked about last week, was like creating that consistency with yourself for like showing up for yourself so that you can have that outside of you. I'm going to read that definition of love to you again when I find
Mhm.
it. Just had it. It's like, where did it go? Let me just grab the book. So I was like, I don't know where I put it. I had it and I lost it. Um, and something else came up. So let's see. It is so when we're being loving, love is as love does. When we are loving, we are openly and honestly expressing care, affection, responsibility, respect, commitment, and trust.
Mhm.
So, would you say that you are trusting yourself by staying in relationship that feels like you have to just get through it, that it's work, that you have to deal with it, that you have to build yourself up to be there?
No.
So are you willing to get a little bit more uncomfortable and start trusting yourself to listen to where you're being guided?
Mhm.
Because you said you're when you speak into your impossibility practice at night, you want to get like it feels impossible right now to a place where you're fully enjoying life.
Mhm.
Doing what you've been doing, are you going to be able to find that?
No. I
And
mean, not.
what if this is where stress is showing up right now because you're kind of I like to say you're dancing on the edge of the life that you've known. And it feels scary. Like if you think about yourself at the edge of a cliff and you're dancing on the edge of a cliff, you're like, oh shit, I could fall. And you could fly.
Mhm.
By you dancing at the edge, you're like, oh my God, I can fly. I can go and find those people where I get to be fully me. And I respect myself enough to say, this isn't it anymore. I love you, but I love me more. And I'm going to follow where I need to go. And I don't know what that is yet.
Mhm.
And at first, especially when we're not used to trusting ourselves fully and staying, we're used to staying comfortable, it's going to feel really scary. I'll be completely honest with you. But how might it be for you to start being with the anxiety and the stress and the fear that's there to be like, I see you. Yep, I get it that you're scared. But last time we did this and we went out to dinner with this new person or this person we hadn't seen, it was a lot of fun and I was really enjoying life. So we're gonna experiment. So brain, just be curious what I notice when I'm following where I'm being guided. Just be curious.
Mhm.
What could that create for you?
I think it would create, like, more peace in allowing myself to I mean, I want those things, and I wanna enjoy those things. So it's like I think the process of, like, getting there and being open to that because, I mean, my whole goal is, like, yeah, I do wanna have more connection, and I do want, like, deeper connection with people. So it's like but then when I'm, like, limiting myself because I feel stressed about it or I'm, like, letting myself get super stressed leading up to it, it's like, "Okay, well, this isn't like, this isn't helping me." Um,
Right.
so, I mean, I do wanna change it. Yeah.
Could that, when it shows up for you during the week leading up to something new, could that be an invitation for you to connect and breathe and expand more? Could it be there to be like, I just am here to breathe some new life into you? And your brain doesn't understand it. So your brain's going to do what it's knows to do, which is spiral the thoughts and continue to create more thoughts that are going to create more stress and anxiety.
Mhm. Mhm.
So could it be there to actually breathe some new life to let life touch you? Because you said you want more connection and a deeper connection. But if you're only showing up as part of yourself, how are you going to create a deeper connection?
Mhm.
Because you're not even deeply connecting to yourself. You're actually abandoning yourself and kind of making yourself go somewhere you don't want to go.
Mhm.
From what I'm hearing. Like I know there's part of you that wants to because it's safe and comfortable. It feels easy.
Mhm.
And by staying in that, it's also keeping you away from more connection, a deeper connection where you get to be all of you and you don't have to filter yourself.
Mhm. Mhm. No, that's all true. And I think sometimes, like, in the context of a relationship that well, a lot of times it seems like when people break up or they get divorced, it's like you're holding on to, like, what you used to have together that, like, was good, and it's you, like, don't wanna accept that that's lost. And I think
Right.
that's hard because like, people always wanna, like, recreate, like, how it felt, like, when you first met and, like, everything was good and, but then, like, after years, I mean, yeah, like, things happen that are, like, damaging, in any relationship and, um Yeah, it's just like kind of feels a little bit like a slow death, I guess I would say. Because like the things that you had patience for or like that you were okay with like earlier on, like after years pass and your relationship changes, it's kind of like, oh, I don't really want to like I don't want to have to spend the rest of my life like worrying about like something that's gonna like make him angry or like set him off or and it can just be like I feel like something to me that I would consider to be like really minor.
Right. And let's be real. It's not wrong that that triggers Eduardo. That isn't wrong. But is it something that you want to continue to be in relationship where you have to filter yourself in order to be in relationship to what his truth is?
No, yeah, it's not. And it also kind of like feeds into that like idea of like when you're around people that are more like negative, that it does, I mean, it affects you, So it's like I don't want to have like my experiences that I would like to enjoy be like kind of like tainted by like negativity that I don't feel like is needed there.
Right. And Sarah, let's just honestly, this is something that is you have had to do this in your family dynamic your whole life. You still have to.
Mhm.
So it feels easier to stay in that place because you're like, I'm used to doing this. But
Mhm.
you also have had, I think, a few experiences at least where you're like, I want this. Like, I don't
Mhm.
want to have to show up and cover up my tattoos. I don't want to have to show up and filter what I say or watch what I say or watch where I look. Holy crap.
Mhm.
Show up.
Mhm. Yeah, no, it's true. Well, and I think like it's gotten more complicated like in recently just because Eduardo had to have surgery for like an injury that he got at work, but so he's off of work for like 3 months and like the biggest thing in our like issue in our relationship I would say is like me not having time the same amount of time to give.
Yeah,
And I'm like, yeah, that is not going to go well, like, when you're not working for 3 months, and
right.
you have, like, a lot of downtime and, like
Yeah,
and it's just gonna make it seem like I'm that much busier, like, "Oh, you never have time for me," and, like, that kind of thing, and
but isn't that what if he's choosing to be in relationship with you, that's part of you. You are
Mhm,
a single mom with 5 children.
mhm,
And if that's what he's agreeing to, that is part of your truth. That's part of your story. And if he's not honoring that and he's playing the victim, I'm just going to name what it is. He's playing the victim, like, you're not giving me enough attention. It's information because
mhm,
that issue isn't going to change.
mhm,
At least not for a few more, until the kids are out of the house. But even then, you're still a mom of children.
mhm,
That's part of where your energy goes because you birthed these kids into this world.
mhm.
They're part of you. So is that fair for him? Does that open up a door for you, a possibility of somebody that is saying you're not giving me enough of your time?
No, it's not, and it does wear on me.
Okay, so
Like, for, like, a couple hours have passed and I haven't, like, responded via text, because like, if I'm with the kids and, like I mean, like, last night where my kids really like basketball, so we were watching the NBA game, but, um, like, if I'm watching the game with them, I'm not gonna be on my phone, like, because 'cause we're watching the game, so, like, I'm not, like, on my phone and but then, like, so several hours might pass before I respond to, like, a text, um but I know, like, that over time, like, will lead to, like, him feeling like neglected. And yeah,
Mm,
that does wear on me because it's like,
yeah.
and then yeah, it makes me question like, would I want to be in a relationship with anybody? Because I just don't want to always have to feel like that. But then I think like, oh, is that doesn't have to be a part of every relationship?
Nope. So by choosing to stay in relationship with Eduardo, where it's wearing on you, are you losing part of yourself by choosing this?
Mhm.
What are you losing by choosing this?
I'm just losing the ability to be like my authentic self for sure because I'm like have to be guarded. I have to be guarded like in what I say, but I also have to be kind of like in a like prepared stance, for when he does get upset about something. Like I'm never going to be able to let my guard down. I guess I was caught so off guard with everything with John when Eduardo was really angry and he had every right to be angry, but I still stand by his anger was misdirected at me when he could have been angry with John. And I was really caught off guard by that. And I just don't think that there's like, yeah, any going back in that respect, like where I'm always going to kind of be like, I can't fully trust or rely on that relationship. So it's like not like a full relationship.
Right. So what has to happen for you to lean into trusting yourself in this situation and honoring this information that you're being given? That you have to always be on guard. It feels like you have to deal with it and manage it. You just have to get through it, build yourself up.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't sound like I mean, if one of my daughters was like, "This is how I would describe my relationship," I wouldn't be like, "Wow, that sounds like a really great relationship, sounds super healthy," and, you know? I mean, I
Well,
would. Yeah, definitely wouldn't.
and you just told me you are sacrificing your authentic self because if you're on guard and you're always on guard and you have to be kind of ready for I don't even know all the things, but you might look in the wrong direction. You better be ready.
Mhm.
Like how are you going to be able to get to a place where you fully enjoy life if you're like this?
Mhm. Yeah, it would make it really hard. Yeah, and I guess, like, that's part of what I'm struggling with because I recognize all of these things, but then I also recognize, like, is that why I'm feeling like everything, not just in respect to Eduardo, but just, like, in general, that everything is, like, has become a chore? Is it because of that relationship and the dynamic and the way that I'm feeling, or am I placing, like, too much weight on it, thinking that, like, "Oh, if I end that relationship, I am gonna feel better." And then, like, I don't know. Sometimes it's like I don't know how to like sort through like the source of those feelings.
Yeah. So what if you have to be on guard? You're in relationship with Eduardo 24/7. Like regardless of if you're communicating with him, right?
Mhm.
So, but you having to be on guard 24/7, how how might that impact the rest of your life?
Yeah, it would kind of bring like a negativity, like a level of negativity to kind of like everything that I'm going through. I mean, like just like day-to-day life. I mean, it's
Right.
being in like a prepared to kind of not even like prepared to fight because I'm not that's but
That's
more
not
just like, prepared for like the other shoe to drop, and like for the shit to hit the fan, kind of like.
mm. But if you're always waiting for shit to hit the fan and the other shoe to drop, how can you fully enjoy life?
Mhm. I don't think you can.
Well, no, because you're already waiting for the shit to hit the fan and the other shoe to drop. Life's like I'm trying to touch you, but you keep waiting for the shit to hit the fan and the other shoe to drop. So That's where your energy
Mhm.
is. I'm going to just keep giving you more of that.
Mhm.
More chores for you.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think of like when people say, and like I know my dad likes to say this, like happiness is a choice. And sometimes I think like it, I feel like there's truth in that, but I feel like there also isn't. I mean, like, yes, you can choose things to like improve your life, make you happier, but also that's like putting a lot
Pressure.
of like, yeah, a lot of pressure on the person that like if you're not happy, then like you're choosing that and like you're the
You're doing it
problem.
wrong. You're doing it wrong.
Yeah. And it's like,
That's not
okay, well,
because I don't believe life is all sunshine and rainbows. I
mhm.
enough of life to be like, that ain't it. If you look at Jesus, that wasn't what he showed us.
Mhm.
It's real. If you want to be real with the full spectrum of being human, if our hearts were flat, we would be dead. If
Mhm.
we're feeling everything of life, it's going to go up and down. So I can
Mhm.
illustrate. So I had that beautiful event with the women in transition, huge shifts. I mean, I got to witness magic. The next, no, it was Monday. And then I felt like the down because I was on that high. And then I felt the down of it, of being in the belly of the wave, of being like, oh, and now I get to meet myself here after that. Because it's
Mhm.
not saying it's wrong. It's just there was a big expansion. It's like birth, big expansion and then contraction, expand, contract. Like that's part of life. If we really want to sign up for life, and it's not saying my life's always joyful, that's not real. I have
Mhm.
hard moments, but if I can meet myself in those hard moments and not make them wrong, I can now experience more joy because I'm able to be with the harder stuff too and not just make it all about the good stuff.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, that's like really well said. Yeah. And I think that's just like from my family dynamic is part of the struggle is that we do we are expected to only show like the like everything is good, right? And that it is actually bad to have those feelings of like sadness or frustration um
Right.
or you can have them but like you shouldn't express them or show them and they shouldn't affect you at all. Um right? Which then I'm like, "Oh, yeah, like, am I like a Debbie Downer?" Like,
Yep.
why can't I just like choose to be, like happy all the time? But that's just not like everybody's experience. I mean, that's no one's experience, but I guess some people just like are not in tune with that.
Well, and they make it pretending. A lot of people are really good at having amnesia and using anesthesia so that they don't have to actually feel the hard stuff.
Mhm.
How loving are you being to yourself whenever you're having the hard stuff? Don't worry, I'm just going to look back at the past and remember when it was good and romanticize it, or I'm going to drink some wine, smoke some pot, whatever you're doing, to just numb the pain so I don't actually have to feel it. Are you really loving yourself, or are you just saying, ah, that part of me doesn't really matter?
Mhm.
And I'm just wondering if all of this stuff is getting louder with Eduardo because you're being invited to choose you, to be
Mhm.
with choosing you and loving yourself well, truly respecting yourself, caring yourself, trusting yourself, and honoring what's here for you.
Mhm.
And it isn't wrong. It's you
Mhm.
actually showing love in a very kind way because when we're clear, we're kind.
Mhm. Yeah. And I do think that it's like a year since he and I like officially like ended things and like he moved out and he hasn't been like a part of my life at all, like outside of like us occasionally like getting together, but like as far as like within my family or anything, he's not a part of my life anymore. Um so I think that coupled with like the work that I've done with you in getting more like in tune with myself instead of just like running away from my own feelings um has given me like a different perspective on the things that I'm like willing to accept, in like the context of a friendship or a relationship. And it's just like, yeah, I don't, like when you're living with someone, it's like you feel more like there's more of a requirement to like adhere to what the person wants because you're like living together and it's like every day of your life. But when you're not, and now that I've like distance and perspective with him, I'm like, yeah, I don't actually have to do those things. And even when everything got really intense with John and actually like a week before that happened, I was going to show Eduardo something on Facebook. And I mean, I barely ever go on Facebook, but I mean, I might go on like, I might check my notifications once a day, but it's not like I'm like on there all the time or I like never post anything. But I was looking for something and he was like, "Oh, you have a lot of male friends on there." I was like, "Okay." And so he was like very angry and was like, "Yeah, you need to like delete all the male friends." And I was like, "I don't even like some of these people are like my cousin, my uncle, my friends' kids, like
Right.
um and then when I was talking to a girlfriend about it, and I was like, "Yeah," so he said, like, "You have to delete it." And she's like, "But you don't actually have to." That's the thing, is like, you don't have to. And like when we were living together, I did feel more of like a pull that like I had to do what he was saying to make him happy. But it's like, I mean, I did end up deleting. I mean, I did. I didn't need to do it, but then I did it, and I was just like, yeah. I mean, I don't even care about these people. Like, it doesn't even matter. I'm like, some of them I'm keeping if they're like my family or my kids, my friends' kids or whatever. But I was like, yeah, I shouldn't have to do that,
No.
and the pull to do what I don't want to do just to make others happy. It's like yeah, there's less. I mean, I never wanna do that, but, like, I feel like I even more so now with him, like, I'm just like, I just don't have to, like, accept this as part of a relationship.
Well, you had done it, like, you deleted some of those friends to make him happy, and there was other things you did when he lived there to make him happy. Did it actually make him happy?
No, because then it's just, like, replaced by something else.
Great. And were you happier? Did it help you at all?
No.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if that way that you've learned to please others isn't working anymore because you sacrifice yourself in the process.
Mhm.
And the reason we tend to do people pleasing, self manipulation, what we've talked about, is because we get some sort of high when they feel that instant gratification after we've done the thing. We get kind of we feed off of that energy a little bit. And I say we because yep, I'm a recovering self manipulator. We feed off of that energy because it feels good because we're like, oh,
Mhm.
but it doesn't actually touch us. It's very surface level and it lasts for a moment and then something else comes along and oh shit, it hit the fan again. Damn it, now what do I have to do to make sure I can fit inside of this box? I
Mhm.
That's it. Like you're like, I'm done fitting inside of these boxes. I'm ready to blow them up. I'm ready to dance on the edge of the box and look and say, okay, I don't know what I'm going towards, but I know it's better than this. All I know is it's more than what this is. Because if
Mhm.
I'm having to show up as a less version of myself and not my authentic self, that is not it. It's
Mhm.
not about Eduardo at all. It's about you. It's about
Mhm.
saying, I don't want to show up this way anymore. I want to love myself and show up as all of me.
Mhm.
Well, how
Yeah, that is true, and, like, getting away from this idea that, like I mean, as I'm sure, like, everybody's, like, situation is different, like, I know for me specifically with even, like, work this year, I've just stayed at home with the kids, but even, like, all the years leading up to that, like, working, but still working a job where I could, like, prioritize home life, I
right.
have gotten, like, accustomed to getting my worth from, like, pleasing other people, right? And so, like, I've definitely have carried that over into my relationship with Eduardo and like being like, oh yeah, I do for the kids, I need to do what he wants to make him happy. But it's like that is not a healthy relationship. And I don't, and I just like getting away from that, like placing so much value and like my own self-worth on that. I need to like break that cycle.
What if you already have been breaking that cycle, Sarah? What if
Mhm.
you've been connecting to yourself every day, saying, I value me, that I'm going to show up and connect to myself 3 times a day? You're doing it.
Mhm.
And at some point, you will be invited to take the next step in relation to this so that
Mhm.
you can choose loving yourself well. And it's not saying you're not loving Eduardo. Actually, sometimes when we love somebody, we're willing to let them go. Because just like you are a mama five, you know this. When you birth these children into the world, you had to die to who you were before, especially with the first child. You had to die to being a single woman and all the things.
Mhm.
We're not taught how to let go in our world. We are not taught that death it's just completion. It's just completion. It's a natural part of the cycle of being human. But when we hold on to things after they've already died and they've decayed, we suffer, both suffer
Mhm.
because we're holding on to something that's already gone
Mhm.
and it won't be what it was. It can't.
Mhm.
It's just not how the world works. I mean, nature shows us that every year. It dies, we have spring, summer, fall, dies again. It's
Mhm.
are we willing to have those daily, so to speak, mystical deaths to die to who we were? Like, I don't want to continue to get my worth from pleasing others. It didn't actually touch me. It
Mhm.
actually left me very empty and exhausted and really going through the motions. That's not it. I don't want to not be my full self anymore. Like, that's not it. There's going to be places where you are less because you get to show up as who you are capable of showing up with your family. I have to do that too. But what do I
Mhm.
do in order to show up in places with my family is last Easter, or for Easter, I'm sitting there wrapping a feather. Yep, they probably all think I'm weird as hell, but I was making a gift for a friend and this is something I do. And I'm like, how can I stay true to me and be in relationship to my family? So I'm going to do these things. I'm going to have intentional conversations with the people that like to go deep and not stay at the surface because I suffocate there. So I'm going to go and look for those spaces. And that's what I do now. So I can still show up as me fully as much as I can in those spaces where it's not fully safe for me to be all of me. I'm just
Mhm.
much for them. And it's not wrong. I'm not too much. It's just they cannot hold the amount of love that I am.
Mhm.
So it's
Mhm.
just being honest and then continuing to look for the places where I can be fully me.
Mhm.
But it takes us being honest with ourselves and saying, that's not it. And it's not wrong. It's you being very discerning. And I think all of this stuff, because one of the philosophies I hold to is how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you're showing up as a guarded version with yourself in relation to Eduardo, which you said is part of every day, you're showing up guarded to some respect in every area of your life. Because
Mhm.
where you've been out and either with Eduardo or somebody made a comment to Eduardo and he's like, why are you looking that way? So now you're having to be more guarded even with you when you're with your kids. So you can't be
Mhm.
fully present as the full mom that you want to be because you're being guarded.
Mhm. Yeah. And that is so true. Like in relation to like the death and yeah, I mean, you're not going to get back what it was. And it's so easy to see that. I mean, I recognize that that's like where we're at, but obviously like I'm emotionally like invested in our relationship, whereas
Yeah.
my high school age daughter just ended like a 2.5 year relationship with her boyfriend, but I could clearly see it like leading up to that. I was like,
Right.
it's over. It's the first relationship for both of them. So they don't see it and they don't realize that like they're in
Right.
that kind of downward like spiral at the end.
Yeah.
Um, And I feel like that's where he and I are, and we're both just like holding on and not letting go, you know? But it's like it's not like serving either of us because I always feel like I'm never like enough and I can't be who he wants. And then he feels like he's not like prioritized enough. And I do sometimes feel like that like need in him is like a little bit insatiable. I think just like stemming from his own trauma from when he was younger, you know? And like I can't
Right.
fix that. You know, and I can't be that and I don't want to be that. Like I don't want to fix anyone. I don't want to like
Yeah.
I'm already like going through life with like all my kids like kind of tethered to me. Like it's already like waiting, it's like weighing me down a lot, you know, like every day, just like trying to get through the day and like kind of carrying them along with me. And it's like, I don't want to do that for another person.
Well, is that exhausting and depleting you by like holding on to that?
Mm-hmm.
Whenever like when you hear stories of I'm never enough, I can't be what he wants. What if that's true in relationship to him? Because there's something missing that he's trying to fill with you in relationship to you that isn't possible. It can only come from within. And when we try to fill it outside of ourselves, it ends up being not the truest fullest expression of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if you had a mirror in your daughter of showing you could see that downward spiral with her and her relationship. And I get it because she's young, she doesn't see it yet. But I'm wondering if that was there in your life so that you could also look at it for you. Of,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that might be like how beautiful would that be if you're like, I'm just going to be honest. This isn't it. This isn't working anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I hear is exactly what I shared with you in that voice clip, which is cathecting, which what we have confused in our society as love. Cathecting means emotionally investing into. So because you're emotionally invested into Eduardo, you stay, but it's not truly loving for yourself first and foremost. Or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense. And it's yeah, I guess it's like hard to get sometimes like a true sense for what, like for me personally, like what is love, you know, like what is love in relation to like a romantic partner?
well,
Because I
what if
haven't
we
really like had the healthiest relationships.
But what is your journey right now? Are you open to discovering what is love for you? Because you said, what is love in relation to a romantic partner? Yep. And are you willing to start to chase after love for yourself, within
Yeah.
yourself?
Yeah, and I guess why I said that is because to me, like, there are relationships where to me, like, love is clear, like my relationship with my kids. Like, to me,
Right.
the way in which I love them and the how that's like demonstrated is very clear. Like
Right.
it's not like, oh, I don't know like how to do this or like I'm unsure. Like it just is like I don't know. It's not easy, but I mean it's just like always been there and I haven't had to like sort through it or like, you know, or like loyalty and love like in a friendship. It's just with a relationship I'm like always I guess it's like, oh, this is just part of being in a relationship, I guess, you know, but I see like examples of people where I'm like, I mean, they seem like they have a healthy relationship. Obviously, everyone has like their own issues, like when they're just together, but I see examples of people that seem like they have like a healthy, loving relationship. So it seems like it exists.
Well, what if you have a blueprint right now? You have a blueprint with your family, with your kids, not other
Mhm.
people, with your kids. You have
Mhm.
you're being shown what love is and what that can look like, as well as maybe with some friendships. And maybe right now, that is where your focus is because you're building a foundation of loving yourself and valuing yourself and not seeking external validation to be valued.
Yeah.
And by that, it's opening up the door possibility of creating that outside of you at some point. I don't know when. It could be tomorrow for all I know. But it's just by loving yourself well, it's like, okay, this is where my focus needs to be right now.
Mhm.
Or I keep emotionally investing into this, it's pulling me away from the love that I'm actually after.
Mhm.
All that energy that you're putting into Eduardo is less energy you have to put anywhere else.
Mhm.
And even if you're always on guard, once again, you're muting your energy everywhere else in your life.
Mhm.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
what feels like it could be a good next step in regards to this of loving yourself well is where I want to lean in.
Mm, I guess just spending more of my energy on my own well-being and myself. I mean, I have given so much energy to like things that kind of like trigger him and make him upset and like trying to either defend myself in that or like appease him or and I would like to I feel like since you and I have been working together, I mean, I definitely have made like huge strides in like spending more time and focusing on myself and like
Yep.
prioritizing my own time and like my own well-being. Um So I think just continuing to like pour into that and not into the dynamic with Eduardo because it just like continues to repeat itself, honestly. I mean, it's just like the different day, like same issue, different day. And like the cause is, like something different, but we kind of like end up in the same space, I feel like.
Yeah. And when you're trying to defend, trying to appease him, are you able to be over you?
No, I mean, I'm definitely like in a defensive like stance, like, and just and walking then when I, like, walk away from that, like, interaction, I feel, like, super depleted because it was like, it really took a lot out of me, and I don't wanna waste
Yeah.
energy on that.
So maybe would you be open to just looking for this week of like continuing to look into where can you pour more energy into yourself? And I'm saying yourself, it also is energy into your children because by you pouring into you, you're overflowing onto them. Because when we honor one, we honor all. So I'm
Mhm,
willing to just this week at least experiment with where can I pour into more of me? What would support me? Like keep asking those questions, especially if the brain takes over when you're meeting up with a new friend. Thank you, brain. I love you. I know you're trying to protect me, but we're going to do this new thing because I had a lot of fun last time. Remember? Remember,
mhm,
just curious what I noticed in my body, brain.
mhm.
Notice if you're open to it, noticing when you're trying, when you're really trying. And it might be with Eduardo if that stays around for a little bit longer. It might be with stuff with the kids. It's not wrong. It's not wrong.
Mhm.
How can I be? Okay. What might it look like for me to be right now rather than trying? How does that
Okay.
does that
Okay.
resonate?
Yeah.
So what are you walking away with? This hour went by like so fast. I'm like, how has it already been an hour?
I know. Um, I think, I mean, really just like that, what we just said. I mean, I really am walking away with kind of like a reminder to prioritize myself and focus on loving me instead of like changing who I am to necessarily like always make others happy. I mean, I have to do that to some extent, of course, with the kids, but I really shouldn't have to do that in the context of like a friendship or a relationship. And I just yeah, I don't wanna give I mean, I know I've said this to Eduardo before, but, like, I just don't want to spend any more time or energy on, like, conflict or things that, like, I don't think they matter.
Right.
Um, so I'd like to really just make that my focus for, like, this week is just, like, spending that time and energy on myself,
Yeah.
um, instead of giving it to him, I feel like. And yeah, I am gonna use that strategy, like, when I mean, even leading up to going out to dinner with this woman on Thursday, I mean, I've already been, like, kind of doing that of being like, "I totally just did this, and it was, like, fine." Like, you need to, like, stop overthinking it, like, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it's not, like, hard for me to, like, make conversation and just kinda, like, catch up on what's been happening in our lives since I mean, I haven't seen her in, like, I don't even know, like, 7 years or something, so I think that's, like, a good reminder that I can just, like, having that conversation with myself and just, like, reminding myself that, like, yeah, it's I don't need to, like, overthink and, like, let all my, like, negative, like, scenarios play out.
Yeah. Well, you just said when you're around negative people, it brings a negative energy. And what if that your brain is creating the negative energy because that's what it's known?
Mhm.
Thank you, brain. I love you, brain. Because even if you go and it's not it, cool. Now I know that's not my people. Awesome. Now show me who my people are. Show me where I'm
Mhm.
fully authentic.
Mhm.
It's not wrong.
Mhm.
And I just wonder what you're going to create by pouring more into you because I hear you saying, you even said it to Eduardo, it's not worth my time. I don't want to waste time in conflict like this anymore. But
Mhm.
now, what if you're being invited to embody that knowing that your head had? Like, show me.
Mhm.
Actions will show me because if you keep investing time into Eduardo, it's not wrong. Okay. You're saying, I'm going to keep choosing this rather than really honoring what my truth is.
Mhm.
And it isn't wrong. You get to choose it until you know, and you'll know when you're like, I'm done choosing that. I need to follow this. And it
Mhm.
might be a few days from now. It does that's irrelevant. It's you
Mhm.
in a place where you have the courage to I say do the hard thing, but it's not actually hard. It's just uncomfortable because
Mhm.
relationship to conflict, it's been hard. It's
Mhm.
uncomfortable choosing yourself because you've got a lifetime of pleasing everybody else.
Mhm.
So right now it feels hard, but it's actually much easier. So show me how to find ease in shifting this dynamic between me and Eduardo. Show me. Like just start asking because it might feel impossible right now. Show me how to have ease with shifting this dynamic.
Mhm. Yeah. And I do think that, like, over the course of, like, the last year that I mean, he's become such a small part of my life, whereas, like, before he was such a big part, and it's like, sometimes I'm like, "Am I was that" I mean, I had to end things when I did because of just, like, I feel like his kind of, like, behavior and, like, energy, but, um, I never, like, fully opened myself up back up to it. I think probably because deep down I knew that, like, yeah, this isn't gonna
Yeah.
it's just not gonna pan out. So I've just kind of, like, I feel like positioned myself in a way where it's like, I know it's not gonna work out, and I'm just like, I don't know why, like, I haven't pulled the trigger on just kinda, like, moving in that direction.
Rather than trying to figure out why, show me what else is possible. If I
Mhm.
choose what I know deep down to be true, like that's honoring your truth. That's honoring trusting yourself. Show me. And just
Mhm.
what else is possible by you honoring what the truth is deep down. Like you knew a year ago, deep down, you knew it. But
Mhm.
it's hard to sometimes face that reality and be honest with ourselves because there's also a fear. "Oh, I'm going to be alone. I'm going to be a single mom alone again. Here we go."
Mhm.
And that's not wrong. the fear is here because it wants to breathe new life and show you there is more possibility for you, but it means letting go.
Mhm. Yeah.
And if you need
Okay.
support and you feel like you text me, message me in between now and next week and say, "Hey, I need some support." We can have jump on a quick call if I'm available. We can text back and forth.
Mhm.
But once you do it, I just like when you got divorced the first time, like once that was out there, was there more ease after? Like once you knew that you guys were getting divorced and you said the hard thing or he said the hard thing, whoever said it, I don't remember. I don't know if you shared that.
Yeah, I did, and no, truly, I mean, I had no regrets, and I was like, "The only thing I regret is not doing it sooner," and, like, sometimes I wonder if that's how I'm gonna feel, like, yeah, I don't have any regrets, like, we truly should have just, yeah, ended it
Yeah,
when it was clear that neither of us was getting what we needed.
right. And celebrate
Mhm,
that knowing, and that's the proof your brain you can give your brain. Be like when your brain gets scared and it's like, I don't want to. This is safe and comfortable. Yeah, but I don't want safe and comfortable anymore. I want
mhm,
more. I want to enjoy more of life. So let's go.
mhm,
That's the proof from the past. Pull it out. Be like, remember, we're gonna extract some of that power from the past if I should have done it sooner and use it now. Let's go.
mhm. Okay.
So reach out if you need support between now and next week, and then we'll talk about what you want to do for the summer because I know next week will be the last week before school summer starts and school's out. So
Mhm,
just play it by ear. We'll just figure that out and just hold that this week of what would be supportive for you this summer when the kids become like the top, like the full priority. Do you
mhm.
want to have something once a month, once every other week, where we have it in the morning before they're up and about, so that you are still consistently showing up for yourself? And it might
Okay.
take the summer off and you just experiment with everything. I don't know. Only you have that answer.
Mhm.
So,
Okay. Alright, that sounds good.
okay,
Okay.
I'll follow up with the goodies and then I'm celebrating you for trusting what you know deep down to be true.
Mhm. Thank you. Okay.
All right.
Alright.
I'll see you
Have a
next
good
week.
day. Okay. Bye.
Bye.